Hello everyone, in this video we will try to understand a concept of JavaScript or Node.js. In this video we will try to understand import and export and various types of import and various types of export. So basically there are two types of ways in which you can import and export things in JavaScript. The first way is to follow ES6 script or ES6 modules. That's the first way. And the second way is CommonJS. Now CommonJS is an old way of importing and exporting modules and stuff. It's an old way of writing the code. Whereas ES6 is a recent or a latest modification, not a modification, but a latest way of writing code. So many people they follow ES6 modules, but yeah, most of them they still follow CommonJS practice as well. So if you go to the React documentations, React.js documentations, the official website of React, then there you will find it all follows ES6 modules for importing and exporting things. So React necessarily follows all ES6 modules. Yeah, but most of the times, backend people they still use CommonJS for importing and exporting things. So we will try to understand how all of that works. So for that, first we will start the project by initiating everything. So we will say npm init to get started with things, and yes, I'll just enter everything. Yeah, so we have got npm init, and where we have got it in the code kingdom. We have got it in the wrong file, so I have to go to documents, and now I have to mkdir code. Yeah, now I have to go into code. Yeah, and now I will be doing npm init. I did that in the wrong folder, but that's okay. I'll just do enter a couple of times, and yeah, that's done. If you go to code, you can find there is package.json. Yeah, so we have got package.json. So let me just go into that. Yeah, so we have package.json, the only file in this folder. So when you have package.json, what you can do is by default you get the option of importing and exporting things using CommonJS. You can do that, but you cannot do importing and exporting using ES6 ways. Why? Because ES6, if you want to use, then you will have to mention it over here in package.json. Unless and until you mention that, you will not be able to do that. So we can also mention whether we are using CommonJS or ES6 over here. We can do that for sure. So let's do that. For now we will be starting with ES6, and then we will go to the CommonJS methods as well. So let's say type. Our type will be module. Yeah, module means the ES6 way of doing things. That is what it is. Okay, and now I will create a file, and I will name it as forest.js, and I will create another file, and I will name it as trees.js. Hopefully you are getting what I'm trying to do. This forest is a collection of various trees, so we will define various trees over here in this file. So let's just define our first tree, that is const mango tree, not like that, mango tree, and it's just a string that says I am a mango, not like that, yeah, a mango tree, yeah, that is what it is. And we will save it, and once we save that, we will have to export it so that the forest can get it. Okay, so how to export this? There are two ways of exporting things. The first way is to use named export. In named export, you have to export a file, you can export multiple things if you are using a named export. So when you import a named export, then you will have to uh, destructure it, and only then you will be able to access it. That is what named structure is. Sorry, yeah, named export is, yeah. And the other way to export something is default export. In default export, you don't have to worry about the name or destructuring. The moment you import trees.js, automatically the default thing will be imported. This sounds a bit complicated now, but we will understand it while we write our code. So first I will try the default export. So to do that, we can simply say, not like this, export export default mango tree, and I will save this. Once I save this, I will go back to forest and I will simply import mango tree from trees.js. Yeah, that is what I will be doing, and I will simply console.log mango tree that we have imported. So I have imported mango tree from trees.js. The reason why destructuring didn't took place is because this is a default export. Mango tree is a default export, that's why we don't have to destructure it. Okay, and I'm gonna simply save it, and then I'm gonna and then I'm gonna simply run it. So I'll simply say node forest.js, and here we go. We got this output, I am a mango tree. This is the way how we can use default export. Now we have to discuss how we can export named things. So it's very simple. I'll just get rid of this default export, and instead of that I will simply say export over here. Export, yeah, this is our named export. This is our named export. Remember, there is only one default export in a file, but yes, a file can contain multiple named exports. It can contain as many named exports as you want. Depending on your requirement, you can keep any number of named exports in one file, but yeah, one file will only have one default export. Yeah, so now since this is a named export, now we will have to destructure it, otherwise we might get an error. You wanna see what error we get? Okay, let's check what happens if we don't destructure it. Let's just run the code again. You see, we got the error. And what's the error? The requested module trees.js does not provide an export named default. That is the error that we get, right? So we will have to destructure it. And now if I save it, and now if I run it, we will not get any error. Let me just clear this. And now if I just say node forest.js, here we go. I am a mango tree. We got that again. So this is a named export. We can have as many named exports as we want. Let me show you that. Const banana tree, banana tree. I am a banana tree. I'll save this, and after console logging mango tree, I'll say banana tree. Banana tree. Yeah. So the moment I type banana tree, VS Code automatically imports banana tree for us. So now we are importing banana tree and mango tree from trees.js, and these two are named exports. Yeah, they are named exports. That's why we have to destructure them first, and then we have to import them. So yeah, let's go back, and let me clear, and let me just type node.forest. We are just getting mango tree. Why? Because we haven't saved the file. So I'll be saving the file, and then I'll run it. Yeah, now we got I am a mango tree and I am a banana tree. So this is how everything works in ES6 way. Okay, ES6 modules, this is how it works. So let's now discuss how it might be working if we had it in the CommonJS way. So this type was module when we are using ES6 modules. So we will simply have to change it to CommonJS, and I will have to save it. And now if I try to run this, I might get an error. Let's test that. If I will just run it again, you can see we got the error. Why? Because we are mentioning in package.json that the type is CommonJS, but we are using ES6, which is not at all appropriate thing to do. You should do what you mentioned, right? Your code should reflect what you are mentioning it in package.json. So that's why we got that error. So let's try to sort it. Okay, so how to import something in CommonJS? So in CommonJS, first things first, exporting named modules is very simple. We simply can get rid of this const, and instead of using export, we will say exports, and we will just join them and separate them with a dot. Similarly, we will do with banana tree. Instead of export, we will say exports, and we will say dot. And this is how these are the named exports. These are not default export. Default export is always always one export from a file. Default exports cannot be multiple. These are named exports. Now how to import them? The import way also will be different in CommonJS. We will have to say const. We can say let or var, but I prefer const. And what name do we want to specify? Mango tree. So we will have to destructure this, mango, mango tree, and I will have to say require, not like that, require. From where we want to require that? From trees.js, right? So that we will specify, and we will be getting mango tree. Similarly, we also want banana tree. So what I'll be doing is I'll simply copy and I'll paste, and instead of mango tree, I'll simply change it to banana, banana tree. Yeah, and now I will try to run the code. So first I will clear this, and now I will simply say node forest.js. Yeah, we got it. I am a mango tree, I am a banana tree. Now what about the default export in CommonJS? That is also very easy. So yeah, so for default exports, what we will be doing is we will be getting rid of all this first. Yeah, and we will over here simply say module dot exports, and we simply have to say we can pass anything that we want to export, whether it's a string, variable, function, object, anything we can pass. what we want to export, whatever we want to export. Yeah, so I'm just exporting a string, so I am a default export. That's what I'll be exporting. Export, yeah. And I'll save this, and now I just have to, you know, mention a variable, sorry, a const. So const, const mango, mango tree, and I'll be requiring it, require, require. And from where will I be requiring it? I'll be requiring it from trees.js. And now when I require it and when I print it, it's gonna print I am a default export. That's what it's gonna print. So let's check that. Node forest.js, I am a default export. That's what we are getting. So this is how a default export is done. And you know, in backend, you know, there is a practice. It's a good practice that each you know, file, you know, usually it contains only one export, and whenever it contains one export, it's obviously a default export. For each purpose, you create a separate file and you keep your code, you know, separate, so that it's easy to read, easy to understand. You know, that's the standard that, you know, developers usually follow. So yeah, that is what it is. This is the way you can export things in CommonJS. You know, you can export default using in CommonJS. And yes, one more thing I would want to mention is, if I just get rid of this from type from JSON package.json, if I save that, and now if I run this, then the code will still run, because by default, even if you don't mention the type in package.json, it supports CommonJS. Let me just run, and you can see we got this. I am a default export. So yeah, CommonJS is by default. You know, if you don't even mention the type, it runs the code if you are using CommonJS. But the moment you try and use ES6 way of importing and exporting, then you might get an error, because if you are using the ES6 method, then you will have to specify the type, and in that type you will have to specify module, and only then you can use that. Otherwise you might get an error. So that is it. It's not that complicated. It's a very simple and easy thing. I hope you understood my explanation, and I appreciate that you watched the video. And yeah, thanks again for watching.